The Committee on Finance and Appropriations will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum?
Thank you. Yet again, we have a very full agenda, and we expect to have many more bills coming soon. So I would like to get started. First, just a quick announcement. If you're here for Senate Bill 282 or Senate Bill 136, those are going by for the week. Okay, the first bill that we will hear is Senator Hashmi's bill, Senate Bill 270. Okay. As soon as she gets here, we will hear that bill because we're going to have an interpreter with that bill. Let's see.
Would you like to do the House bill?
Yes, please.
Okay. Madam Chair, appreciate you adding House Bill 828 to our already full docket this morning. This deals with the Dairy Producer Margin Coverage Premium Assistance Program, and it was needed because the feds were slow in rolling the program out, and we need to change the deadline from yesterday to May 15th for applying for the program. Kyle Shreve is here to represent the details on this.
Yes,
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Kyle Shreve on behalf of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. We passed this program and you all put $1 million in the budget last year for the program, and Senator Hanger is exactly correct. The USDA was delayed in rolling out the program. It opened on December 15th and is currently open for enrollment in the insurance program until February 18th, which means the producers that sign up from now until February 18th cannot submit their application to VDAX. We worked with the VDAX Comptroller's Office to make sure that May 15th is the last date they could process an application and keep it on this fiscal year so that it should not have an impact on the budget. It also makes a technical clarification for that a producer can work with NRCS instead of DCR if they so choose, because we still get credit for it in the Bay model. I would also note that Section C limits the bill to, or the program, to a first come first served basis, subject to the availability of funds, and we make no change to that as well. So simply just to change the date. Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you. We'll have public comments, and there will be 2 minutes on each side maximum.
We certainly support the bill if that would be helpful, just to get it out of the way.
Thank you.
If you are in the Zoom room and you would like to speak to this bill, please raise your hand electronically.
Yes,
Martha Moore with Virginia Farm Bureau, and we're supportive of the bill. Thank you.
thank you.
Eric Paulson, Virginia State Dairymen's Association. We're supportive of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the Zoom room in support of the bill?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Is there any opposition to the bill?
If you're in the Zoom room and would like to speak in opposition, please raise your hand electronically now.
Move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 828 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill is reported. Senator Stanley.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Members of the committee, and Madam Chair, this is Senate Bill 84, which is before you. Basically, it amends the code in a simple way of adding just a number of words that allows New College Institute, which is located in Martinsville, Virginia, the great city of Martinsville, Virginia, to offer workforce training programs when the community college cannot, will not, or won't. And it will help those industries that are coming into Martinsville, Henry County, and Southside Virginia create a workforce pipeline, and that workforce pipeline then will hire those people in good-paying jobs. Right now, we have programs with our executive director, Karen Jackson. We're doing the certification for windmill safety training. A lot of the higher ed centers already can do this by statute. We do this because of the need. We're just asking that that be codified so that it's spelled out as one of New College Institute's responsibilities. It's an important bill in the sense that already in the code, we're permitted to collaborate with outside, either the community college or outside trainers when this workforce training need arises. But what this allows us to do is to do it ourselves when the community college does not, or we cannot collaborate with those third-party providers. And that's the bill, Madam Chair, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. When we last heard it, there was some disagreement with with the community colleges. Has that been resolved?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, that has been resolved. I think when we all sat back and looked at what this really does, this does not interfere with the community college's ability to offer workforce training. If that workforce training is offered by, say, Patrick and Henry, then we would not embark on that. We have, as the chairman of New College, and have been so for 4 years, we have strived with Karen Jackson to make sure that we collaborate with our community college partners, not compete. So my understanding is, and I know Ellen had voiced some concern about the bill, but I believe that that's all been resolved. And I have an email to that effect after Executive Director Jackson spoke with Ellen about this matter.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Stanley, what is the current enrollment at New College Institute, and how many students do you think would be served by this?
Madam Chair, I'd answer the gentleman by saying, so the programs that we offer, we have moved away from offering certain college degrees because they conflicted with our 2-year associate's degrees from Patrick and Henry. We do offer 4-year degrees in coding. We offer certifications in coding, windmill safety. We offer some college courses through Radford, cybersecurity, those kind of things that we do offer. We graduate about 500 people through a certification program a year in telemedicine, telehealth. What we're trying to do is be able to be nimble to pivot to when there was a company that came in, Shook. Shook provides basins, composite basins, providing 537 jobs. We would have provided workforce training, but the community college was providing that, so we're not doing that. But it averages, we can get a couple hundred people through each one of these workforce training programs at any one given minute. We're even working right now, Madam Chair and Senator Marsden, on providing training for those that install fiber optic cable to help with the broadband issue. And also, we're working right now with Electric Cooperative to bring the lineman course to our institute as well. So it always varies.
Thank
but
you,
I think, Madam Chair, it could help a number of people that need that kind of workforce training to get back in the job market.
It's that one. Yes, Senator Norman.
Senator Stanley, as I'm reading the notes that we have on this, is currently this specialized non-credit workforce training has to be done with a partner that is a community college. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, I'd answer the gentleman by saying with either a community college, as the code is already written, or a third-party provider if the community college does not provide it or cannot provide it.
Okay, so I'm saying that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. And this,
I don't know how to answer in one word.
Yeah, I know you don't. I'm very familiar with that.
Yes, sir, I know.
Madam Chairman, and so what this would codify that they would not necessarily have to have a partner with the community college.
Madam Chair, I'd answer the gentleman by saying not necessarily. We do and seek out collaborations with community colleges, but it's not absolutely necessary. This would only come into effect, Madam Chair, when the community college can't or won't or is not able to provide that.
That's a yes, too.
That's a yes as well. But that was less words, I thought. Maybe not.
Madam Chair, move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 84 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee, for your time. And thank you for counting my words, Senator Norman.
Oh, good. Senator Hashmi.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. I've got two bills today, and the first bill I'd like to share is SB 158. SB 158 is a bill that it focuses on preservation. And one thing that I think we ought to think about in consideration of this request for funding from our Department of Historic Resources is the fact that we preserve what we value. we preserve what we value, and it's time to show that we value the history and the cultures and the communities of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color in Virginia by preserving historic sites and sites of importance that represent the full history of Virginia. So currently in Virginia, we have the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation, we've got the Virginia Battlefield Preservation Fund, and we have the Virginia Outdoors Foundation Preservation Trust Fund. And these grants are dedicated ongoing programs that target the acquisition and protection of battlefields, farmlands, parks, forests, and natural areas. But we don't have any grant funding that actually preserves the cultural and historic sites of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color locations. And a recent analysis of our existing grant programs revealed that little funding has actually benefited properties historically associated with what we call BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. The creation and funding of this grant program, then, is the next step in the Commonwealth's commitment to historic justice. So this is a request for $10 million to our Department of Historic Resources that would continue to support and specifically target highlighting the full history of Virginia. And I request that we support this request for DHR funding. And I don't know if you're taking any public testimony this morning, but we may have one or two individuals here to speak in support of this.
Was this bill heard in another committee?
It has not
It's
been
not
heard.
been, okay. So then we will take public testimony, 2 minutes on each side. Anyone who wants to speak in favor,
If you're in
please.
the Zoom room and would like to speak in favor of this bill, please raise your hand electronically now. There do appear to be a few, Madam Chair.
Okay, we have a total of 2 minutes.
Elizabeth Costelny, please unmute and begin your testimony now.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Preservation Virginia is in support of this bill.
Thank you. Next.
Sherry Neal, please unmute and begin your testimony now.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Sherry Neal, City of Portsmouth. We thank Senator Hashimi for bringing this forward, and we do support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam Gillenwater, please unmute and begin your testimony now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Adam Gillenwater with the Piedmont Environmental Council. We'd like to thank Senator Hashimi for patroning this legislation. We support this bill, and we hope the committee will do it to advance it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gayleen Kenoyton. I am with the Virginia NAACP, and we strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are in the Zoom room and would like to speak against this bill, please raise your hand electronically now.
Do you want to try to get voice over?
I think we should.
There are no more speakers from Zoom, Madam Chair.
I was just thinking. Thank you. Is there anyone in opposition? I would assume not. Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 158 be reported. Please record your vote. Senator Hashmi, you have, oh, sorry.
Ayes 11, noes 1, abstentions 1.
Ayes 11, noes 1, abstention 1. The bill's reported. You have another bill, Senator
Yes,
Hashmi?
thank you, Madam Chair. The second bill is SB 270, and this has been previously heard in general laws. And this is a bill focused on language access. One thing that we saw quite glaringly through the COVID crisis is that people who have limited English language abilities really were disenfranchised from the resources and the support that our state agencies can provide, whether it's employment issues, whether it's housing concerns, healthcare concerns. There was a distinct disparity in the ability to access resources and funding that other communities were able to receive. We would like to seek to establish an interagency language access work group, and this is established in the Secretary of Administration, but would be directed by our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And this work group, its main focus is to evaluate what is necessary for effective language access in the Commonwealth. The working group would establish and maintain a model language access policy to be used by all state agencies, and also make sure that we have coordinators that are within every state agencies. These are not new FTE positions, rather these are individuals already working within those state agencies who would be primarily responsible for assisting us in developing and maintaining the policy for language access through this work group. This is such a critical area. We heard from so many communities about the impact that not having effective language access has had on their particular communities. We've also heard of the impact on children who often have to serve as translators or as spokespersons for their parents who have limited language proficiency. Oftentimes, this puts children and families in peril, particularly in domestic violence situations. And so being able to meaningfully address the issue of limited language proficiency and have a clear policy within the state is necessary. And so for this reason, we're requesting $50,000 in each year of the budget to begin to establish the work of this particular work group.
I don't care.
Passing the bill is separate from getting the money. They're sort of separate tracks. Does anyone, let's see, this has already been through a committee, so are there any questions for the patron? Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 270 be reported. All in favor, please say aye. Record aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 11, noes 4.
Ayes 11, noes 4. The bill's reported. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The next to sign up is Senator McDougal, but Senator McDougal, I'm trying to get all the bills related patrons here at the same time, so I'm not going to call on you quite yet.
I'll go back to marijuana.
But I think we're trying to get them here fast, so you don't want to go too fast.
Call Serville, he can't get it.
Okay, Senator Mason.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have three. Which, is there any particular order you care for, ma'am?
Your choice.
Okay, doke. Let's do the first one, if you will, is SB 195. This is the Group Health Benefit Plan, and I believe there's a substitute for that, Madam Chair, and it is just cleanup language. No change, no policy change. Provisions are reordered. We struck some words we shouldn't have struck. We added some that should have been there in the first place, but no policy changes whatsoever, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the substitute? It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this moved through the General Assembly a couple years ago without showing up here, but there are 4 lines at the end that I believe is the reason we're here this time. that speaks to the licensure tax that would go with an insurance plan. And this is actually a trust and not an actual insurance plan. Trust set up with a board of trustees that determines the benefits, and it's one of the reasons why everybody gets equal treatment and the exact same coverage. So, Madam Chair, I guess that's why I'm here. I'm happy to take you through it, but I don't think you want me to bore you with that, but I will.
Are there questions for the patron? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 195 be reported. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
And
members of
now
the
you
committee.
have
Next will
another
be
bill.
Senate Bill 196.
Okay.
A couple years ago, we brought you the establishment of the Spirit Promotion Fund for spirits distilled in Virginia to set them up an opportunity to market and tell people of Virginia about the product. Last year, I brought you a way to fund that did not go decidedly well at all. We struck that, and they had a little schism on their board. They squared their board up. Now the board has come back to us with 100% agreement and worked with ABC, and it's established just like the wine board, where they take 20% of the excise. The governor actually funded this in the budget to kind of get it started for the next 2 years. This is just to continue it on, and that's our bill.
Are there questions for the patron? Is there a motion? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 196 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 14, noes 1.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill's reported. And
Thank you,
you
Madam.
have one more.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and most members of the committee. My last one, Senate Bill 191, ma'am, and I took them in this order intentionally because this one's one we need to fight for, and I hope the committee finds a policy decision. We have not changed the amount we pay evaluators for court services to order competency. Since 2007, they're paid $750. We, the graying of America, we are aging out of people that even do this work. There are 244 people signed up and approved to do this work outside of our state-run facilities consistently. And last year, 57 provided reports for 3,142 cases. So the cases are growing. The number of people that are able to do these evaluations, we're trying to do more and more and more on an outpatient basis. You'll see some bills on that in the next couple of days. And we just got to raise the fee. We have one guy who's a new guy who's in Richmond who goes out to Southwest Virginia. He's working hard for his money, and God bless him, because he's been told by some folks out there that he's the only person who'll come. This is a real breaking point for us, Madam Chair, and money we need to fight for.
Senator Deeds.
As one who does this sort of work in the western part of the state, I can tell you that to get evaluations by people down in Richmond, and have to wait on people from Richmond or east of Richmond who have the time to do this work, it's an untenable situation, and this increase is very modest in my view.
Okay, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, as someone who pretends to professionally to function in this area, I would say it is not just a geographical challenged issue. It's the same thing in Hampton Roads on it. So it is really across the state. Secondly, $1,200 to perform the comprehensiveness of one of these evaluations is ludicrous. It is absolutely ludicrous for the time. And I don't know that going from $750 to $1,200 is going to stimulate participation. But this has serious consequences as it causes a backup in the courts. Sometimes you have the clients who are languishing in incarceration, waiting for their evaluation, and so I support it. I'm just sorry that Senator Mason was so parsimonious in his request.
Baby steps, Madam Chair, baby steps.
Are there any further comments? Okay. It's been moved and seconded the bill be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Okay. I see that Senator Boysko is here. Do we have all of the? Okay. Senator Boysko.
Good morning. Do you have a bill that you'd like me to start with? I've got three.
The food tax. Food tax.
Okay. So my focus, as you know, I have been working on eliminating the menstrual tax.
Which bill number? I'm sorry.
This
the
is
clerk.
SB 451.
Thank you.
So I have been carrying this a number of years. I think I first carried it in 2017. We've made some progress on it. But once again, I come before you to add essential menstrual products and other personal hygiene products to the list of miscellaneous exemptions to the retail sales and use tax. In 2019, we reduced the tax to 2.5%. This bill, again, completely proposes to eliminate the tax, which I believe is discriminatory. And it also includes non-durable incontinence items that was also reduced in 2019. These are things that are essential for people, and I am excited to see that we have some bipartisan support for it this year.
Thank you. We have a committee substitute for your bill, which will broaden it somewhat to include the tax. And the hope is that this will be the vehicle for
Thank
those
you.
bills.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Who was that?
Peterson,
Okay, Senator Peterson.
does this include diapers?
It does.
Okay.
Yes, please report on the substitute, Connor.
Madam Chair, so the committee substitute would also include the grocery tax aspect. It would not eliminate the local 1%, and it would have an effective date of January 1, 2023.
Great.
And we will need, if there are an agreement, to roll in the other three.
Madam Chair,
And make them co-chief patrons. Yes, Senator Newman.
I wonder if, since we're rolling in a different bill to this bill, if there couldn't be some presentation on the other bill as we kind of go
Absolutely.
along, because,
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yes, I would like to hear from each of the other patrons, and I'll start with you.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, and I know that there is kind of a consensus on a direction to go, and I appreciate that, and I've talked to Senator Barker about that a number of times. My proposal is a little different. It relates to the elimination of the grocery tax. Madam Chair, as you know, this committee has been on the forefront of eliminating the grocery tax, although it has been somewhat slowly. It has been a bipartisan effort. I think every single one of us understand that this is a regressive tax and that we need to do something about it. Madam Chair, we have seen that the inflation on food goods have gone up just dramatically. They're unlike other inflationary items. They are right now for poultry and eggs and meat. They are up at over 12.8% at this time. Madam Chair, the regressive nature of this is especially difficult for those of low income. For some of those in the top 1%, it represents less than 1% of their income, but those that make less than $20,000, it represents 7.1% at times of some of that disposable income. Madam Chair, my hope, as you probably have understood, is that we would get rid of all the tax. And I know that that's the desire of most of you, is to get rid of all the tax. I think that we should backfill for localities. That's just my belief. I don't believe that we should leave localities in a lurch. And I believe that what Senator Barker and the chair have come up with is a mechanism whereby we can backfill a portion of that. Not all of it, as I understand the substitute correctly. There's a bit that goes into the Transportation Trust Fund that is not backfilled at this moment, but I think there's a commitment to come back and try to make sure that we do the right thing there. Madam Chair, actually, the grocery tax is a bigger portion of the entire sales tax than I ever imagined, especially if you put in what Senator Boysko's been doing for many years. It represents a big chunk. It's a lot of money. And so we all understand that in part. I believe the total amount is something close to 20%. Madam Chair, as you know, Governor Northam felt strongly about this. He put it into his campaign pledge that he did now 5 years ago. And Governor Youngkin, who has put forward the bill that I have today, has basically agreed and said, you know, we should go through the process of eliminating the entire tax. I know that the substitute that's coming forward now still keeps the 1% for localities. I think it should be our goal to eliminate that portion. Whether we do it this year or not, we will see, but I believe that that makes sense. It is not cheap, but it's the right thing to do. So, Madam Chair, I thank you for the opportunity to present my bill. I'm fine to be one of the patrons with Senator Boysko in her measure. I know that the House of Delegates has a slightly different view on how they're going to go forward with this, and hopefully there can be a compromise. My hope also, if you don't mind, is that if our budget estimate numbers that come back in February are higher, that we will take a solid look at how we can reimburse localities for that extra 1%. So, Madam Chair, thank you for your kindness in allowing me to speak to my measure, which is Senate Bill 571. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Newman.
Madam Chair,
Senator Peterson.
this is a pretty big deal. The only bill I have in front of me is 451, and the fiscal impact statement says 2.6 million, which I assume is from Senator Boysko's bill. So do we have a fiscal impact statement attached to this new substitute? Because
yes,
I get the feeling it's going to change the numbers a bit.
Tyler.
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, that is the correct fiscal impact for the substitute as well, because the increased budget eliminated the 1.5% sales tax.
That's for my bill.
Okay. And that's online right now?
Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Newman, do you have been given any indication by the folks in the transportation world as to whether this would impact the delivery of any ongoing projects with the reduction in these funds, or I assume, you know, maintenance would suffer to a certain extent. Do you have any, have you been
Chair.
advised by the Secretary of Transportation's office what?
Madam Chair, as you know, as chairman of that committee, we have received word that we have about $2 billion extra dollars. What this means and what the effect, if we were to do some of the gas tax changes, is there would not be additional money to go into the 5-year plan. So I don't think we're going to impact any current 5-year projects with this. And I understand from speaking to Senator Barker, he can speak for himself, that there's a desire at some point to come back and try to address this issue.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I don't know if there's anybody here from the administration who'd like to speak for just a couple of seconds, if you would so allow.
Yes, is there someone from the, yes, Charles.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I hope you're well today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, the administration does support Senator Newman's Senate Bill 571. The administration believes it's very important to eliminate all of the grocery tax, including the local portion. As Senator Newman mentioned, this is a very regressive tax impacting low-income Virginians who spend a disproportionate amount of their incomes on food. The administration would ask that you support Senator Newman's bill.
Yes, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I realize that we're about to have a presentation on the substitute, which at least I am not informed of, but does the administration have a position on the substitute as perhaps an incremental approach?
Madam Chair, Senator Norman, this administration does not have a position on the substitute as of yet.
Senator McClellan.
This may be answered in the presentation, but I think I heard conflicting things that are supported. The substitute keeps the local grocery tax, but eliminates the state. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'd like to ask Connor to describe the substitute.
Madam Chair, so the proposed staff substitute, the proposed committee substitute would preserve the local 1%, but eliminate the grocery tax and the essential personal hygiene products tax, all state and regional taxes, effective January 1st, 2023. Senator Newman's bill, which he described, would also eliminate the local portion and be effective in due course this July. So those are the principal differences, the timing, the difference between July and January, and then also that Senator Newman's proposal eliminates the local 1%.
Thank you. Senator McDougall, did you want to speak?
Madam Chairman, just briefly, I think I took only a small different approach, and that was to backfill that 1%, even though eliminated to localities and portion for the education portion. So made my version a little more expensive than maybe some of the other versions. But I would just add to the items that Senator Newman discussed that Virginia is one of a very small minority of states that still taxes food. And so this is certainly one of the more regressive taxes, and I think it hits some rural areas harder because it is more challenging. The options are fewer and more challenging, and hits urban areas harder. So this is the elimination of this tax has disparate regional impacts, but significant regional impacts for a majority of the Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Senator Norman.
Could staff, again, just give me those bullet points on the major difference under that substitute? I understand it's rolling in the hygiene, but help me with the other points.
Yes, sir, Madam Chair and Senator Norman. So the two main differences are that Senator Newman's proposal is effective in due course this July. The committee substitute would take effect in January, so it would be 5 months later. And then the other difference is that Senator Newman proposed to eliminate the local 1%, which the committee proposal would not do.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, given it's the substitute and it's a bill coming out of here, we will have public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the substitute?
There do appear to be a few in the Zoom room, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Which keeps the 1%. It does keep the 1%.
Senator
Madam Chair.
Oh, Senator Peterson.
Senator McClellan and I are just trying to make sure we got this correct. So what we're doing here is we're taking Senator Boysko's bill, eliminating the tax on menstrual products, diapers, personal care products.
Right.
And then we're adding in Senator Newman's bill, which eliminates the grocery tax but preserves it for local option and then also for transportation. I wasn't clear on that. Yes, I see one person shaking their head and one person nodding their head.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, the substitute eliminates the tax for transportation, which is a half penny, and also the tax that's on food now for that goes into K-12 education.
So it keeps that portion which is dedicated to K-12 and it keeps the local option. Everything else goes away.
No. It does not keep the penny that goes to education. What it does is we will backfill that from general funds. So there will be, it will have no impact on general funds going in terms of
Okay,
education.
I don't want to get into the backfill. And So what is going to be left of the grocery tax, assuming we pass this substitute, what will still be 1% only, which is the local?
Was it 1%?
Everything else is getting stripped off.
Yeah, the other, rest of it is all getting stripped off. You are correct.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, question, Senator Barker.
Sure.
Yes, Senator Norman.
A question, Senator Barker, and I apologize, I'm trying to follow this discussion about it. So we're going to eliminate the tax that goes to education, but we're going to turn around and backfill it with general funds.
That is correct. And that is in the introduced budget. That's how it's done, so.
Yeah, I understand that. So we're going to eliminate it in one area and backfill it on another, which is a double whack.
Well, but you will be filling it, backfilling it from other resources, basically, since there would not be any sales tax collected that would go into the general fund. So,
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Peterson.
and this is pretty critical for those of us up in Fairfax County. The money that's distributed from the 1% on sales tax is distributed back to localities based on the numbers of children in their school system. Is it now going to be redirected to the LCI, or is it going to stay through that formula? That's not a minimal question.
Tyler can fill you in on.
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, so for every dollar lost in sales tax, you can run it back through the LCI formula like you described, but in the introduced budget, there is a proposal to provide what the localities would lose as one-time whole harmless.
Well, no. We're not going to suddenly change a funding formula on the fly like that. If we're going to take off that 1% that is always going back per capita, then it's got to stay per capita, okay? We're not going to change the formula right now on the fly.
We're not taking the 1% off.
I would make a motion that we not change any formulas on how we distribute education money. by doing what we're doing.
Appreciate your comment about on the fly and would like to suggest that we pass this bill or these related bills. Yes, until next week. Yes, Tyler.
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, it isn't changing the K-12 funding formula. This would occur if sales tax went down just because sales went down across the state. So that is how any loss of sales tax has been handled in K-12 in the past.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I lack confidence in these answers right now. I'd like to see something in writing, which.
Okay. Senator Sessa.
Well, along with what he says, if the dollar of education that is lost, that 1%, and it comes back through the LCI, as an example, Fairfax County, for every dollar they lost, would get 28 cents back. Because we're a 72.28. So we would only barely get a little more than a quarter of it back if it goes back through the LCI, as opposed to a direct check for the amount that you lost.
Tyler.
Madam Chair, Senator Saslaw, that is correct, but then there is the introduced budget included the whole harmless payments for that elimination of the sales tax.
Okay.
The extra 80 cents that like lost.
Well, is that for 1 year?
It's for the biennium, but it is one time in this biennium.
So it's for the biennium, but it doesn't guarantee it from there on out.
Right, exactly.
Senator Norman.
Madam Chairman, I know you're going to turn around and smack me on this. This is really a pretty significant policy change issue, and we are obviously trying to craft it and amend it on the fly. And I think we ought to carry this over to the next meeting. I, like Senator Peterson, I want to read that whole substitute because my comfort level is increasingly discomfort.
Actually, I'm not going to smack you because I suggested the same thing about 5 minutes ago.
Madam Chair, I'll make that
So I
motion.
would,
Make that motion.
so I would like to have this bill passed by until next week. Without objection, we will do that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a reason that I just carried it as the menstrual tax bill and not for all the groceries,
Everything.
because it was a little bit easier to chunk off. Would you like me to do my other two bills, or?
I know.
Okay. We also, I'm sorry, need motions for the other bills to go by for the day as well. It's been moved and seconded that the 3 bills go by for the day, 4 bills go by for the day. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, they're by for the day.
Would you like me to do my other 2 bills?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Chair, Senate Bill 454, the Teacher Training Corps, would be my next bill. And I have an amendment in the nature of a substitute.
Can we have a motion on the substitute? Could we have a motion to adopt the substitute? It's been moved and seconded. We adopt the substitute to Senate Bill 451. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the Teacher Training Corps, which would increase access for people going into education. Originally, the bill was housed, we envisioned it to be housed in SHEV, but SHEV felt the programs would be a better fit under the Department of Education. And so the amendment.
I'm sorry, Senator, what bill are we on now?
We are on 454.
Okay,
It is the
454. Thank
Teacher
you.
Training Corps.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And so the change here, the amendment, would move the oversight from SHEV over to the Department of Education at the request of SHEV and the Department of Education working together. And to give you, so 454, the Teacher Training Corps would implement an ROTC-styled program for prospective teachers studying at participating universities in the Commonwealth for the purpose of attracting and retaining quality educators in our high-need elementary and secondary schools. In each participating institution, 25 students would be admitted into this corps, offering a full-ride scholarship covering tuition, room and board, and other fees. In exchange for that, these graduates of the Corps would teach at high-need public schools in Virginia for at least as many years as they were paid for by the TTT Scholarship Fund. I'm waiting for the fiscal impact because with the move from SHEV to VDOE, we expect that we would be able to just shift that over. I did provide a budget amendment, item 142, 10S, that would give $3,110,000 for the first year and $6,280,000 for the second year from the general fund to cover those scholarships. Budget amendment item 142 9S was filed to fund a 12-member teaching training corps commission to administer the program, but that has now been eliminated with the move from SHEV to VDOE. And I'm wondering if it would be possible for us to switch those funds to VDOE if and only if it cannot absorb the cost of the program already. This would end up giving us 100 new teachers a year, 400 new teachers, high quality over the next 4 years. I've had interest from different colleges who have said they were interested in being part of this as well, but we have limited it pretty close to just a handful of schools at this point.
Madam Chair?
Senator Marsden.
Senator Boysko, students go through college at different rates. Some take 4, some take 5, some take 6. Is this capped at 4? Because, some people, because of working and what have you, go through slower. And I would hate to see somebody be obligated for 6 years because their family circumstances required them to take fewer than what maybe somebody on a 4-year plan would do. And I was wondering if there is a way to cap that at a 4-year obligation because they've gotten a 4-year degree. And I don't know how the scholarship would work with, extra years, but but it seems to me we need to account for that somewhere in this.
So, Madam Chair, Senator Marsden, the concept of this is they are in a cohort. They are working collaboratively together for 4 years. This is not something that you would drop in and drop out of. You wouldn't be doing partial credit. And again, they would be having a full ride with expenses paid, so that there should be nothing that they have to focus on except for studying and getting through the program.
Madam Chair, so 4 years would be the obligation at the end regardless, there'd be no other.
That is correct, Madam Chair and Mr. Marsden.
Senator Norman, did you have a, I guess not.
And
yes,
just to follow back on, if there were a student who dropped out of the program, they would be required to, and didn't fulfill their obligation, they would be, if a student, all expenses that have already been covered would be converted into a student loan to be paid back by the student. So we're not just opening this up for free. We are holding them accountable if they don't do their end of the bargain.
Want me to speak?
Senator Barker.
Senator Boysko, I think that there's a lot of potential in this, but I'm not sure that the coordination between Chev and DOE and everything is in place at this particular point. What I think might make a successful process would be to carry it over for the year and have them work on trying to collaboratively build the program using input from both of those two agencies and others in the administration. So, and I'll be happy to make that motion right now.
Senator Norman.
Madam Chairman, if the bill is going to be carried over for a year, one very narrow aspect I would ask you to look at carefully, and that is, whether there are going to be any financial constraints on off-campus student housing. That reimbursement really ought to not exceed what dormitory space would be. And I say that as someone who lives in a college community and has some perspective on what off-campus housing costs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
All right, I move that the bill be carried over and that, we have the senator work on it during the year, with DOE and with the Chev, so that we get a comprehensive program that's bought into by everybody, so.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the bill be carried over till next year. Please record your vote.
Senator Evans, proxy. Senator McClellan. Ayes 14, noes 2.
Ayes 14, noes 2. The bill is carried over till next session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have one more bill. I hope
Okay.
that this will be a little bit less complicated for everybody. SB 449 is the bill that I have. And this would preserve coverage for medically necessary formulas for inborn with metabolic disorders, special formulas that the people have to take. In 2020, we unanimously passed legislation to allow necessary medical foods for those diagnosed with rare inherited metabolic disorders. However, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services stated that the requirement would be a new health insurance benefit rather than an expansion of an existing benefit. So this bill is necessary for coverage in our Virginia plans. Senator Barker is carrying a budget amendment, 493 4S, that provides $700,000 each year in the general fund to defray the cost of a mandate for health insurance coverage to allow individuals to access these medically necessary formulas as they need. And we've been working with the associated health plans and are unaware of opposition. Andrew Lamar, I hope he's in the room, who represents the Virginia Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, has been here to support the bill and could speak to the fiscal impact. And he's right behind me.
Good morning, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
yeah.
Andrew Lamar on behalf of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Appreciate the patron bringing the bill. We worked closely with the Association of Health Plans and Senator Barker. Herc looked at this. JLARC studied this. It was a consensus recommendation. Unfortunately, the ruling or the opinion from CMS kind of complicated, and we have to address it this year. I think the critical point is these formulas are being covered currently in health plans. If we don't do anything this year, it's not that health plans won't be required to cover them going forward. They'll specifically be prohibited from covering them. And so have someone, Emily McDermott, who's a metabolic dietitian, can speak to the medical necessity, but that would be a big problem. So would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for
Yes.
having me. My name is Emily McDermott. I'm a metabolic dietitian at one of the 4 metabolic centers in the state of Virginia. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the inborn errors in metabolism. They require metabolic formulas. It's a low number of patients because it is so rare. It's about 233 across the state of Virginia. And that being said, the metabolic formulas are medicine for these rare genetic disorders. In patients diagnosed with these inborn errors in metabolism, use of these formulas from birth can prevent heart defects, intellectual disabilities, seizures, strokes, and death, and any additional costs needed for care thereafter. Also, not having access to formulas can result in higher healthcare costs overall. For example, our patient with PKU who did not receive metabolic formula has been institutionalized since the age of 6 with significant cognitive, physical deficits, is nonverbal, has a seizure disorder, and is fed via a feeding tube. Additionally, babies born to pregnant women with PKU who do not have access to these formulas have a 93% chance of developing an intellectual disability or having a permanent heart defect. This increases healthcare costs. These metabolic formulas are prescribed by a genetic physician and are used only for very specific genetically based diagnoses. The patients are... Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 449 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1, the bill's reported. Senator Servo. I don't remember what this bill is.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think the first one I have is, I think it's Senate Bill
Oh, he's got 2.
9 or 6?
6.
6. This creates a new judge position, circuit court judgeship in Prince William County. It was certified by the Judicial Council. It was funded by Governor Northam in the budget. It was based on, in part on the weighted caseload study. We talked about this in judiciary. And
Are there any questions for the, yes, Senator Norman?
I realize that the good old days were not so good and maybe old, but the Senate Finance Committee used to impose some fiscal discipline on the creation of new judgeships. And the reason that came about was that those that had political muscle could jam through the creation of new judges that might be independent of workload indicators. And the Senate Finance Committee used to maintain a matrix of the prioritization in which judicial vacancies or new judgeships would be created. Would this fit within the matrix, or is this just your anecdotal observation that we got big caseloads up there and we need help?
Madam Chairman, I wasn't present at the Judicial Council presentation. It was done independently by the Prince William County Circuit Court, who provided the council with a bunch of data and information on how the weighted caseload study wasn't accurate as to the Prince William Circuit, because apparently the way the data got reported back, they captured that Prince William County had 1 jury trial in the entire study period, which, given that it's the 2nd largest jurisdiction in Virginia, is clearly inaccurate. And the Judicial Council was persuaded that the study had not been sort of fully evidenced what Prince William County, what its need was. I can tell you that right now they've got an 18-month delay on civil trials, which has never been the case in the 24 years I've practiced there. They also, coupled it with their current experiences, and the Judicial Council felt strongly that Prince William County needed this additional judgeship. And if I could have the chief, as judge, was willing to testify, I could have her here to answer questions and explain the process by which the judicial council arrived at this, but I was not involved in it, so it has nothing to do with my political muscle.
Madam Chairman.
Yes,
First of
Senator
all,
Roman.
your reference was to the initial study that was done by the National Center of State Courts when
The
we sent
update.
it back and had them revise it.
Right.
Number two, I have empathy for Prince William, but I just tried to set a civil case in Virginia Beach, and they told me maybe in 2023. And the problem that you're addressing about the backlog is systemic across Virginia, and some of it as a result of this progressive criminal reform legislation that we introduced, where the criminal cases have got to take priority, and especially if the Supreme Court doesn't extend a suspension of the speedy trial provisions, which you're well familiar with. So everybody is suffering in the judicial system right now, not just Prince William.
Madam Chairman, do you want me to respond to
But
that?
we have Senate Bill 6 before us, yes. Yeah, you can respond.
Well, I would just note that I think a lot of this backlog has to do with the fact that we had the first pandemic in 100 years and not progressive criminal justice legislation. But setting that aside, and I wasn't here for the prior years before the weighted caseload study. That all started in 11 or 12 when I first got here. But this spot was certified by the Judicial Council. And I think that's the process we followed, is when the Judicial Council certifies it, we go forward. This isn't, Scott Servell's idea. This is the Judicial Council's idea. It's their bill. It's not even my bill. So, but if you want to get into a discussion about the specifics, I can get witnesses here. We can do all that, but.
I don't need the specifics. It's not going to change my vote.
Okay.
Is there a motion on Senate Bill 6?
Madam Chair? Yeah,
Yes.
as a member of the Judicial.
Senator Edwards.
I don't remember the specifics, but the Judicial Council does look at the weighted studies. And so I'm confident it was done the right way because it's necessary. And I move that that the bill pass.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 12, noes 4.
Ayes 12, noes 4, the bill's reported.
Thank you. The second one I have is Senate Bill 250.
Senate Bill 250.
Thanks. Senate Bill 250 is a series of increases in fees by solid waste facilities in Virginia. It's the product of a work group that met over the last 12 months between DEQ and the solid waste industry, which it was a bill that was carried. It evolved out of a bill last year Senator Peterson carried, as chairman of Ag. Anyways, the industry agreed that an increased proportion or all of DEQ's administrative and enforcement expenses ought to be covered by landfill fees, and so they agreed upon this fee schedule. And again, this bill was drafted by the administration, the prior administration, and that I'm carrying. The solid waste industry still supports it. The last I heard, the new administration, not taking a position on it. But there's peace in the valley as far as I know, at least in terms of the affected parties. But again, the new administration is not taking a position on it yet that they've communicated to me.
Are there
Chair.
questions? Yes, Senator Newman.
Senator Servell, where does the new money go? Or where, is it going to follow the old path, or where is the new increase going to go?
I think it's going to go to DEQ to fund their enforcement.
Madam Chair,
Senator Peterson.
I think the whole point of the legislation last year was to set up a system whereby the permittees would fund the enforcement system. And
Right.
that's where the numbers come from.
Right.
Are there further questions?
And Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator
as-
Dees.
As I recall, the beginning of DEQ, that was the whole idea behind that agency. The people that the laws were enforced for would, the enforcees would pay for the work.
Madam Chair, just a final word.
Yes, Senator Peterson.
I apologize, but the licensees did have people on this panel, so it was a work group that had industry reps, and I think these were the agreed numbers.
Right, the final product is Senate bill, or Senate document number 5, I think. I have it in here. Senate document number 15 has the report from the working group that contains all this.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Newman.
I know we probably don't have time to get it now, but I mean, there's a wide range of increases, especially on a percentage basis. If you could provide that information to us on why, some of them are dramatic increases, especially composting and facility and post-closure care. I mean, these are, some of them are 5 times, and some of them, well, close to 5 times the cost.
I'm happy to give the senator a copy of this 20-page Senate document which explains all this. We can look at it.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the
I
bill?
move to report the bill.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Is there a committee amendment that was drafted to deal with one issue?
Madam Chair and Senator Barker, the introduced bill included a third enactment stating that any general fund monies appropriated to DEQ won't be reduced until the revenues collected are sufficient to cover costs. The committee recommendation was to remove that third enactment.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the third enactment clause be removed. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The amendment's agreed to.
Move to report the bill as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 250 be reported as amended. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay.
Senator Lucas?
I don't know if you got all those landfills.
I will note your vote in the system now. Ayes 14. Is that an aye? Ayes 14, noes 2? Or, I'm sorry, excuse me. Yeah. It's just not showing. Ayes 13, noes 2?
Ayes 13, noes 2. The bill's reported.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. On my, is Senator Peake, but I don't, oh, he's behind the column. Okay. Senator Peake.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Thank you.
are you going to hear briefly on this, or?
Pardon?
Are you going to hear from me briefly on this?
Yes.
Okay, and I have a couple of witnesses as well, if you'd hear from them. This is Senate Bill 165. This is the jail bill to get the Commonwealth to pay its fair share of jail cost. And I've brought this, I think it's my 5th time bringing this bill. Currently, the state reimburses localities for prisoners who should be in the Department of Corrections prison system $12 per day. The actual cost for localities to house these prisoners is $100 a day. So we got about an $88 differential, and it's very costly for the localities. And you look at the finance fiscal impact statement, just the cost alone of food and medical services per inmate is $16.21, and yet the state is only paying $12. Of course, that $16 figure doesn't include any overhead cost, any infrastructure costs, no heating, no cooling, no wardens, no guards, none of that. So we would love just, I don't want to undersell my bill, but if you would just take it from $12 to $16.21 just to cover food and medicine would certainly be helpful for the localities, but it's really $100 per inmate cost that we are short. And if there are any questions, I'll put my 2 witnesses. Mr. Blunt, ready for witnesses?
Yes.
Okay.
But first questions from the committee. Yes, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what you're asking for here is just basically direct costs. Nothing that goes into the overhead category, which takes it much higher. This is just what they're eating, the medicine they're taking.
Well, I'm asking for the $100, which is everything, which is the actual cost, what it should be roughly. But if you would just give me the $16.21, I bet they wouldn't complain.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. David Blunt, Thomas Jefferson Planning District, Louisa County's especially interested in this bill. It's in our region, but really all the localities. 2010, there was a big hit, $43 million that was reduced. I know that was a great recession time. But that's when those per diem rates went down. I can tell you that 2 regional jails in the area that I'm from, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars a hit. And so we've just been moving that forward for the past 12 years. If it's not this year, I know we talked yesterday about some coming look at the tax structure. Senator Hanger had even mentioned looking at those state and local program and service responsibilities. This is another one of those bills in the drawer, like I mentioned yesterday, and I hope that you all can start to make some strides toward addressing this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay.
No. What we need to do, I think.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm Katie Boyle with the Virginia Association of Counties. Thanks, Senator Peake, for carrying this legislation. I'm so sorry. Talk a little louder here. Just wanted to thank Senator Peake for carrying this legislation. We certainly support anything that can be done to improve resources for jails. We hear a lot about this from our membership and would really appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Hanger.
Madam Chair, I would suggest it maybe in order to carry the bill over, but that we make some kind of commitment. We're going to take care of a bit of this in the budget. And I think $16 would probably be the right range to be in, somewhere $16 to $20.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Dees.
Is there anybody here from DOC to address? Because this is something I hear about from my localities every week, and I'm in the jails just about every week, and something I see, that the jails the DOC used to take state responsible inmates when they had a year, to pull. Now it's 2 years. And my understanding is it's because DOC has a real employment problem. They can't get the staff. So at some point, we're going to have to begin to address this in a serious way.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Hanger.
I would add to that, there's 2 issues. One, we are not intaking into the state system, and largely because we have capacity, physical capacity for probably 40,000, but we only are incarcerating in state responsible about 24,000. It's because we can't staff them properly right now. So we're going to have to address, the correction salaries in part and benefit package, along with increasing the per diem.
Yes. Any other comments? Okay,
Madam
yes.
Chair, I'll just say that was back in 2010, the prisons were full. Now they're they got half capacity, and we're still keeping them at the local level, and every locality is eating this cost.
Senator Hanger, I heard sort of a half of a.
I move that we carry the bill over, but we have some kind of commitment to look at this in the budget cycle.
Right. Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that this bill be carried over, but that we will be working on it in the budget itself.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
Members,
you.
That's better than the outright killing I normally get. But,
You're making progress.
You're
going to get there eventually.
But y'all keep talking about all my bills. They're going to get addressed in the budget. I hope y'all don't forget to address them in the budget. So thank you. Thank you.
We do need to vote on that motion, so please vote aye or nay.
Ayes 15, no zero. Oh,
Ayes
correct.
15, no zero. The bill
Your vote will
is-
be noted, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so on a unanimous vote, the bill is passed by, carried over for the year, and we'll be working on this in the budget. Okay. Senator DeSteph. I'll just say the order I have people signed up is Senator DeSteph, then Senator Obenshain, then Senator Stewart.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I've got actually 2 bills today. I think, and I'm not positive on this, but I believe we rolled my Senate Bill 609 into Senator Newman's grocery tax bill at committee level. I just want to make sure that we actually
We took it by for the day.
Oh, we took it by for the day, okay. I think we're going to take that by again then.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill 289, and there was a question whether the employee had to prove this when it came up in health, and they do. They still have to go through the 5-step process or the 5-question process that's on line 48 through 52 of the bill. But what this bill does is it's not a bill to try to retire our police officers early on disability. What we're simply trying to do is ensure that their emotional injuries are treated as workman's compensation issues so they can continue to effectively serve as law enforcement officers, firemen, but truly to provide the resources for the treatment to get them back to work. And Madam Chair, members of the committee, I know there's financial impact. I read the financial impact. I've had a lot of folks on the financial impact talk to me from 2 or 3 different agencies. And the issue is, just like we had, I guess it was the week before last now, the suicide by the active duty Virginia Tech police officer, it's kind of a harsh reminder that the problems that our professionals are seeing here, we're looking at workman's comp, we're looking at retiring them on VRS, and we're looking at paying out their load of benefits from suicides. And I personally believe that if you can address the problem through counseling and get them at least the help they need, you'll avoid retiring these individuals, which will help financially, but further, you'll truly avoid a situation like I believe we had here 2 weeks ago, which ended in suicide. And one of the issues we have in law enforcement today is when you say, hey, I have a mental health related issue, immediately put them into a category that gives them a stigmatization that you don't want to be here. We don't want you to be here. You're not mentally stable. Instead, I believe with counseling that we'll be able to prevent the 247 suicides that we had in 2019, the 185 suicides we had in 2020, the 171 we had in 2021. I believe, like in every other profession, if we're able to give them the help, and that may require putting them on short-term workman's comp or long-term workman's comp to address that issue, they don't want to retire. They want to continue doing the job, and I think we just want to give them the help that
Madam
will
Chairman.
fix them to put them back on in that job.
Senator DeSteff,
Yes, ma'am.
when I was reading this, it brought me back to thinking about what happened on Capitol Hill in Washington and how outraged I was that those Capitol policemen needed to plead for treatment. I very much support this. I don't want us to be in the same situation.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Senator Sassler.
Question, were those numbers you just gave nationwide? They couldn't possibly all be Virginia for 1 year.
Madam Chair, Senator Sassler, those are nationwide
Okay.
and verified by Wayne Hudgens here with our State Police Association. He tracks that, so do others. And in Virginia, we do see more than our share.
Right.
And I believe, Madam Chair, Senator Sassler, that truly if we can find a way to address this like this does, by short-term or long-term disability, to get them the help they need, they truly want to get back to work.
Right.
And this will put them back to work. And with the shortage of law enforcement, this is a way to do it. And Madam Chair, members of the committee, I hope with that the committee will find favor in this bill.
This bill has been through a previous committee, so we will not take public comment. Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded. The bill be reported. Please record your vote.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported. Next, Senator Obenshain.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee have Senate Bill 221, and I believe there's a substitute.
Is there a motion that the substitute be adopted? It's been moved and seconded. The substitute be adopted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this scales this bill down, this small bill down to a infinitesimally small bill. Each clerk's office in Virginia is authorized by code to accept for filing wills. So if I sign a will and don't want to stick it in a drawer in my house, I can actually go to the clerk's office in many jurisdictions who elect to accept these and file it there. And it's held securely, privately, and in most clerk's offices around Virginia, it's stuck in a drawer, and nobody knows it's there. And people die, and family says, you know, Uncle John didn't have a will, not knowing that there's a will stuck in the drawer in the clerk's office. So, you know, this is something that's been perking around for a number of years among the clerks. What do we do with this? Last year, we passed legislation that allowed them to destroy some of these older wills, I mean, very old wills. What we're doing now is this bill basically allows Rockingham County to have a pilot program to index these wills and make that index publicly available. I would ask that on line 10, you consider striking the word online, because I think we need to be very careful about incrementally progressing with this pilot project. And Senator Deeds and the lawyers on the committee may appreciate the Pandora's box that could be opened with this. So I think we need to make them available, indexed, publicly available, but I think we need to be very careful how we march down this road.
Is there a motion for the amendment suggested by Senator Obenshain? It's been moved and seconded that the amendment be adopted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Amendment's adopted.
Thank you. And the clerk's office can absorb the costs, so there's no fiscal impact to this.
Is there a motion on the bill? I'm sorry, I just saw Senator Marston.
Very quickly, Madam Chair, is there any obligation for an attorney who has done a will and has sent it to the court to notify anyone in the family or anyone, or is that not done?
Well, that is and it may not be the attorney who lodges it. And an attorney's obligation is to his client, her client.
Madam Chair, that's exactly right. I mean, the attorney turns the will over to the client. The client's the one that lodges it in the clerk's office. Mm-hmm. It's not between the attorney and the clerk. It's between the client and the clerk.
I guess Madam Chair, I guess my point is that the only person who knows it there is no longer capable of having been deceased of advising anybody. So it's the tree falling in the forest. Does it make a noise?
Thus this bill.
It's just what good does it do anyone if people don't know it's there? There's got to be some way of.
That's why the bill's before you.
There are a lot of, you'd be shocked at the number of number of wills in clerk's offices drawers around Virginia. Yeah. You really would.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 221 be reported as amended. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported. Thank you, Senator. Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Good morning.
Members of the committee, could I take up Senate Bill 771 first, Madam Chair? Madam Chair, I know that many of you all are aware, as a result of chip shortages or pandemic or whatever, used vehicle prices are absolutely out of sight, in excess of 100% of what they were. And so the commissioners of revenue have been concerned about this, localities, citizens. And what we've done is we've drafted a bill, and I don't profess to understand this, but I will explain it the best I can, that would essentially decouple cars, and I use the word cars loosely, that type of tangible personal property out of the rest, and thus their necessity to assess that at what J.D. Power says it's worth. So if we decouple it, they can then set a different rate for it. I'll give you an example. I've got an old pickup. I think it's a 2015, something like that. It's got 100,000 miles on it. I think I paid about $40,000 for it when I bought it. This last year, in 2021, the Commissioner of Revenue assessed it at $39,500, and I about had a conniption. Almost would have paid for the darn thing, and it's going to get worse. And my understanding is they have no discretion under the law currently, and they don't want to gouge the citizens, and so this would give them the discretion that they need. I would also point out there's a substitute, but please don't move it yet.
Oh.
The reason I say that is because this bill would allow them to either raise it or lower it. With the tax department, Joe Mayer, who is one of my old law school friends, and please don't hold that against him, noticed some things with that, and we had a substitute adopted, but I'm since not convinced that the substitute is necessary. So I would ask that you all look at the bill as introduced. And I'll try to answer any questions, but they're actually smart tax people here who can.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Newman.
Senator Stewart, for some reason I can't pull the bill up online. I'm still working on it. But does it have a sunset? In other words, this is going to right size at some point, and then we're going to go back to hopefully normal. Is there a sunset that gets us back to the
I don't think
the
so.
normal?
No, April's saying no. I didn't think it was.
Mr. Chairman, I think you might
Yes,
want to just
Senator
think
Newman.
about that, because at some point the market will right size, and the old system, while some of us just love to hate it, it worked, right? So just think about that.
I'm fine with that if you all think that's, this is not my area, I'll be honest with you, but we're trying to make some sort of a fix for the citizens here with what we're faced with. One thing I did think of, if someone thinks it's a good idea, we may want to make the effective date of this January 1, 2022 instead of July. I think as it stands now, it's July. And I think we'd want to make it effective for this entire year, assessment year.
Yes, Connor.
Madam Chair and Senator Stewart, just to clarify, so are you asking for the bill to be amended so that it would apply starting with this taxable year, 2022, and not 2021?
How do we do it retroactively for 2020?
Well, it would be easy enough to state that it would be retroactive. I think the process for that might be complicated, because if localities wanted to do it retroactively, you know, people have already paid their taxes, and
They'd
so.
have to give rebates.
Right.
No, I was thinking it should be for 2022, but I'll leave it up to the will of the committee. If we make it effective July 1, 2022, is it still cover the whole year or just half of 2022?
Madam Chair and Senator Stewart, so that was the point that I was making, is if you wanted to offer that amendment, you could state that it applies for taxable year 2020-22 and beyond. So
Madam
starting
Chair,
with January 1 of this year.
That's what I was thinking. I'm not in a position to offer an amendment because I'm not on the committee, but it seems to me we should do it for the taxable year 2022, unless you all think differently.
Connor, you can write that for us.
Second?
Yes.
Or have
Been moved,
unnecessarily
the
confused.
amendment has been moved in concept and seconded. All in favor of the in concept amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Peterson.
one question for Senator Stewart. How would this affect the car tax program? I mean, the money that we pay or the refunds that we give from Richmond, would that be affected at all?
I don't think so, but I'm going to let.
The money the deed sends to Fairfax
I'm
County.
going to call an expert.
Million every year.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Joe Mayer from the Department of Taxation. Yeah, the car tax relief program right now is simply an appropriation of a fixed amount. This would not affect that. And none of the... Yes, yes. This has, I don't think any of the, it's not enough money to cover.
Well, I know that, but the money that we send back to localities, I believe we baked that in 2004.
Yes, sir.
Back when I was still running around in the house. So we're still locked into those distribution formulas from '04.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wonderful.
What
Okay.
could happen,
Madam Chairman?
what could
Senator
happen,
Norman.
Mr. Mays, can you remind me what, in round numbers, what the current amount of the car tax is costing?
$950 million, sir.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I do
Senator
believe in
Stewart.
thinking through this, what could happen, however, is if these tax rates stay where they are, the citizens would not get the benefit of the relief from the counties because the amounts would be so high. But I don't think it's going to affect what the state has, state's obligation to the locality. Isn't that right?
It doesn't change at all.
Right, but
Madam
citizens
Chair.
wouldn't get the benefit of it.
Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, Senator Stewart, I'd like to propose putting a 2-year sunset on it, just because I think we do have a market problem that's going to reset itself, and I don't think discretion in other years. It's better to have known policy as opposed to kind of these discretionary items when it comes to tax. So I'd like to propose an amendment that we add a 2-year sunset clause to the bill.
Okay, it's
I'll-
been
I'll-
moved
I'll
and
second that.
seconded that we amend the bill with a 2-year sunset. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. Is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report as amended.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 771 be reported as amended. Please record your vote.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Next, I have Senate Bill 354. And,
Okay, Senate Bill 354?
yes, ma'am.
354.
Madam Chair, you will recall a couple years ago, we worked on this CSO in the city of Richmond, and at the time, they were averaging about 3 billion gallons a year of raw sewage going into the James River. We adopted the bill that I would like to amend today, and after that time, they still dumped 2 billion, and that's billion with a B. And so, you know, that got my attention again, and I know the city's trying, and I'm not here to suggest that they're not. I'm not here to suggest that we beat up on the city. It's not my purpose, but Senator Peterson said it best in the Agriculture Natural Resources Committee. It is the biggest environmental catastrophe we have in Virginia today, and it needs to be our top priority along with the cities. And so what this bill does is it moves that timeline up 5 years, which practically speaking will save about 10 billion gallons of raw sewage going into the James River. And I'm not trying to be hard on the city. It's not my purpose here today. This is actually something I really care about. I grew up in the Northern Neck between two rivers. I spent the vast majority of my time in the river, swimming or fishing or skiing or something, and I still like to do that even though I'm getting a little older. And it's 2022 and we're not a third world country. And it's time for us to get on top of this. Since I brought this bill, I will tell you all it's gotten a great deal of attention. I'm aware that Don McEachin and Tim Kaine recently came down and met with the city and the new EPA chief. It's their belief, at least as reported in the newspaper, that they can find $1 billion for this. I have met a lot with Secretary-designate Andrew Wheeler. He's meeting with the city and the mayor today. They were going to meet last week, but Mayor Stoney had COVID. Wheeler says he's figured out a way to fund this. And so this bill has garnered the necessary attention to get this done. And that's why I brought it, and I just ask that you all help me keep the pressure on to make sure that the city and the state makes this a top priority.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator McClellan.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a proposed amendment to this bill, and before I offer it, let me put this in a little bit of context, and not to rehear it, but just put it in a little bit of context. The city is dealing with a combined sewer system that was built in the 1800s, that's over 19 square miles of drainage area, that cover the oldest and most built-out portion of the city. Includes 950 miles of pipe that have an average of 114 years. And some of the pipes that need to be replaced are comparable to the size of the Hampton Tunnel. And so the city is doing the best that it can with the resources it can. But this project is considerably more expensive and more complicated than Alexandria and Lynchburg. And they are struggling to get not only the money, but to comply with the timeline that they agreed to and are committed to meet just 2 years ago. Accelerating this timeline without additional funds is going to put the city in an impossible situation, where the only way they can comply with that timeline is by increasing rates on people in the city of Richmond, some of whom are living in poverty. And so with that background, the amendment that I want to put on gives a little more flexibility if state and federal money don't come, because the city of Richmond is not going to be able to pay for this without additional funding. And so with that, if staff could report, you should have the amendment, or Jason, I think, has the amendment.
Substitute.
Yes, Jason.
The amendment that my office sent you an amendment for this bill, proposed amendment for this bill?
Madam Chair, I received a couple of things from the lobbies. I haven't received anything from your office directly, but I believe the concept that you were talking about was a second enactment that would delay, it would revert to the original 30, the 5 years that this bill accelerates would revert back to the existing timeline if there was no funding available.
Well,
or there was a series of line amendments.
Yes, the series of line amendments that would require a waiver if federal and state money do not come, and the impact to ratepayers would increase rates on low-income ratepayers in the city. You should have received that. I apologize if you did not.
I got it secondhand from the lobbyist shop, and it did not get communicated to legislative services.
Okay.
Because of this, we don't have the amendments. I'd like to suggest we pass this by for the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, how many times are you all meeting again?
I mean,
Before crossover.
It's until we finish all these bills.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is not to complain about that. I've got Senate Bill 358. It's a seafood ombudsman, and it's just not the way I like it. I'm trying to make sure there's no fiscal impact to the state. And if you look at...
Would you like to pass that by for the day?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
That
what, yes.
objection will pass Senate Bill 358 by for the day.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Does
Madam Chair,
Senator Newman?
I wonder if we should pass Senator Stewart's other bill by for the day if we haven't already, because I think there's still work to be done on the CSO
did.
bill. We did, okay. Madam Chair, before we leave that, as whoever's working on that, I just hope that they'll look at some of the rates. I know the city of Lynchburg has been very blessed to have kind of the funding coming from the state and feds, but we also have the highest water and sewer rates in the state. And so at some point, there's also going to be a requirement, I think, that Richmond and some of the other guys look at some of the rates issue, because we did it to get the state money, and I think that others should consider that too.
Good, thank you. Yes. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'd like to now, I believe that completes all the non-member. Yeah, Senator Bell's 461. Request to have it go by for the day because he's still out.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to put something on the committee's radar screen while we're here. I have a bill, Senate Bill 692, which deals with the taxation of pass-through entities.
We have just completed the non-member bills.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now we're going to do conformity, and then we'll do member bills.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm just,
I should have made that clear in the
yes,
beginning.
ma'am. Got it.
Okay. Things, as you know, one of the responsibilities we have every year is to pass a bill to conform or deconform with the federal code. And as you probably remember, last year, there was quite a disagreement between the House and the Senate on how much to do. And ultimately, we did reach yes, he said he was stronger than me. We prevailed. There is always a reason to go quickly with the conformity bills, if at all possible. It makes it easier for the taxpayers to know how to do their own tax returns. It makes it easier for accountants and tax preparers as well. I'm pleased to say, and I hope you all will agree with me, that the House Appropriations has passed a conformity bill that I think we would also agree with. And if we do, of course, that will speed things up for everybody. The bill is basically what was in Senator Northam's budget and gets rid of the retroactive part, which adds, I believe, $7 million to the total. So it comes up to just under $200 million as a result of the conformity. I would open for any comments on this.
Madam Chair.
But would like to move our substitute bill, which rolls in several others as well.
Which bill number is this?
Go ahead, April.
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, Senate Bill 94 is Senator Howe's bill, which incorporated what was in the introduced budget, which had, she mentioned the impact across the years. It's $158.6 million in 22, 35.6 in 23, and 600,000 in 24. The provision she's asking, which would be an amendment to that bill that she was referring to, would do the, there's, to get the fiscal year filers for the current PPP loans of up to $100,000 on their tax year 2019 returns, that would require an additional $7 million to fix that issue.
Madam
So that
Chair,
would be the difference.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so if we filed our 2020 tax returns and we paid a refund to the state because we couldn't deduct all of our expenses that were part of the PPP program, can we now amend our tax returns, or is that moment's gone and we're just working forward for 2021?
Madam Chair, Senator Peterson, I would ask tax to clarify that for us.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Senator Peterson. Kristen Collins from the Department of Taxation. So, Senator Peterson, I think what you're asking is if a taxpayer was subject to the $100,000 limitation on their tax year 20 return, does this change anything? And the answer is no.
Okay.
This would only be prospective starting in tax year 21, and then it would also address the fiscal year filer issue, which was really a technical issue last year. There were taxpayers who incurred expenses in 2020, but because they filed on a fiscal year basis, that was really their tax year 19 return. So they could go back and amend their returns and claim the expenses up to the $100,000, the same thing that applied to the tax year 20 filers.
Okay, I think I get that.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, I understand it's your desire to move only one bill forward, so I would hope that my bill, which is 583, would go into your bill. The biggest difference there is that we did have a Rebuild Virginia grant from $100,000 to $1 million for taxable year 2020. I understand that's gone, but in an interest to make sure taxpayers can kind of move forward, I would hope that we would consolidate all the bills and move forward fairly quickly.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barker.
Yes, and clearly we want to roll in Senator Newman's bill, but also I have one bill dealing with a process for consideration of tax conformity issues in the future, and I would like to roll mine into that and then have us study that issue during the year and hopefully come back with recommendations as to what we want to do at the beginning of the next session of the General Assembly.
Okay, so what I'm hearing as a motion is that Senate Bill 630 and Senate Bill 583 be rolled into Senate Bill 94 with co-chief patrons and an understanding that some of the concerns that Senator Barker had put forward dealing with rolling conformity will be considered over the coming year. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Okay, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please record your vote. Aye, opposed, nay.
Pardon me, Madam Chair, I'm trying to get this up on the display.
Okay.
Madam Chair, it will not allow me to do it on the block. Would it be all right if we did these individually?
Sure. Senate Bill 94. Oh, the roll, I'm sorry.
583.
Madam Chair, I move that Senate Bill 583 be rolled into Senate Bill 94.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 583 be rolled into Senate Bill 94 with Senator Newman as a co-chief patron. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
I rebooted down here.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. Then we need another.
Madam Chair, I move that Senate Bill 630.
Senator Barker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll move that we roll Senate Bill 630 into Senate Bill 94.
It's been moved that Senate Bill 630 be rolled into Senate Bill 94 with the understanding that rolling conformity, among other issues, will be considered over the next year. All in favor of that motion, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. And now do we need to do 94 as amended?
Is your bill a substitute for it to get the 94 into the 7 million?
They're trying to. No, substitute. Okay. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the substitute for Senate Bill 94?
Second.
Okay, it's moved in second that the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed? Okay. Yeah, I guess we do need public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Yes.
If there's anyone in the Zoom room who would like to speak in favor of this bill, please raise your hand electronically now.
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Emily Walker with the Virginia Society of CPAs. As you know, we strongly support tax conformity legislation every year. It does help for tax returns to be able to be filed timely and accurately. As to Senate Bill 630, we thank Senator Barker for introducing that legislation. We think having a conversation about rolling conformity moving forward is warranted to streamline this process in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
If you would like to speak in opposition to this bill, please raise your hand electronically now. Rodrigo Soto, please unmute and begin your testimony.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this is Rodrigo Soto with the Commonwealth Institute. I'm not speaking in opposition. I just wanted to share our support for the conformity bill this year.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that that Senate Bill 94 be reported as amended. Yeah, oh, sorry, Senator Hanger.
Thanks, Hale. Just a quick comment, and this is not relevant to the merits of the bill because I support it, but I just want to observe that in helping those that needed help, we broadly, in our treatment of PPP loans and Rebuild Virginia, helped a lot of people that had their best year ever last year.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, I wish there were a way to fix this, but, that's the way it works.
That's the way it Thank you. Okay, now we're going to vote.
The roll is open. Senator McClellan? Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill's reported. Okay, now we have bills from members of the committee. And I will do it basically alphabetically, starting with Senator Barker.
All right.
You have,
Yeah,
that's at the end. That's, yeah. 434 and 630.
All right. We'll start with Senate Bill 434. There's a substitute for that. Amendment in the nature of substitute, so.
Is there a motion to adopt the substitute?
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted.
Yes, and what, okay, the substitute was already adopted, okay, all right.
Oh, okay.
Fine. Well, it must have been a good substitute, we adopted it twice, so. But anyway, what this bill does is it deals with the issue of mental health parity in terms of the actions of the health insurance industry. And it's been worked out to be able to get some more information on that issue. There was a report from JLARC that sort of provided a basic set of data that did raise some questions and issues, but did not categorically resolve the issue. And what we want to do is to get some more information now. There is information that is required federally to be provided, which is provided by the health insurance companies, but is not publicly available. So we will be able to access that as part of this process here. So, so that's what the bill does, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions? Are there any comments from the public on the bill?
If you'd like to speak in favor of this bill in the Zoom room, please raise your hand electronically now.
Thank
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Alexander McCauley, on behalf of NAMI Virginia and the National Association of Social Workers Virginia chapter. I'm also authorized to speak for the Psychiatric Society. We support the bill, and it will give greater transparency into compliance with these requirements. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are in the
Anyone?
Zoom room and would like to speak in opposition to this bill, please raise your hand electronically now. Madam Chair, are you ready for the opposition speakers?
Yes.
Sherry Neal, please unmute and begin your testimony now.
Good morning. Speaking to Sherry Neal.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. I raised my hand by mistake. It was for in support. I'm with City of Portsmouth, and on behalf of our Behavioral Health Services, we do support the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else desiring to speak? Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 434 be reported as amended. I think we already did.
Yeah, we did 630, yeah.
Ayes 16, no 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. The bill is reported. Next up, Senator Deeds, you have Senate Bill 299.
Yes, ma'am. 299 has been, I think, through the Judiciary Committee. 2 years ago, we created the Sexual Assault Forensic Examiner Coordination Program within the Department of Criminal Justice Services. We did so after a 2019 study of forensic nursing in Virginia highlighted the shortage of qualified nurses to provide these services, which resulted in often cases from people traveling long distances and long hours to obtain a proper sexual assault examination. So this bill builds on that work. It increases the percentage of money generated by fixed fee assessments for misdemeanors and traffic infractions to the Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Victim Fund. The bill directs DCJS to develop guidelines for distribution from the fund to sexual assault service providers for salary and equipment for sexual assault examiners, with priority given to rural and underserved communities. It's just about giving these victims of sexual assault, these survivors, justice. And Senate Bill 299, we believe, takes us one more step toward resolving that goal. It doesn't increase a fee, it just changes the proportion, the distribution.
Senator, there was a thought that perhaps we should carry this over but deal with it in the budget directly.
Well, if you want to deal with it in the budget directly, that's fine with me.
Okay, it's a little quicker.
As long as the problem gets fixed.
That's right. Good. Is there a motion?
I'll be happy to make a motion. As we did with Senator Beek's bill, we'll carry this over for the year, but address it in when the budget deliberation. So,
All in favor of this motion, please record your vote. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Senator Ruff, thank you. Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1. The bill is reported.
Bill, I've got Senate Bill 634. My understanding is the people that are interested in this bill want it to go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 634 will go by for the day. Next up, well, Senator Eben is not here, so.
Senator Eben is here.
Oh, he is here. Good.
I have three bills, but I was going to ask if, with the committee's indulgence, and Senator Locke had a similar request, if we could carry the constitutional amendments over just one more week.
Without objection, we'll carry the constitutional amendments over a week.
Okay, so I have.
It's going to be a long week.
We'll have Senate Bill 282 is here, which has to do with the pay supplement given to public defenders by some localities.
Matt.
What it does is it says that the governing body that elects to supplement the compensation of the Commonwealth's attorney or his deputies or employees above the salary of that's paid for by the state after July 1st, it wouldn't take effect till July 1st, 2024, that they would proportionally supplement the compensation of the public defender or their deputies or employees. And I should say the supplemental compensation is defined as proportional if the public defender, their deputies, and other employees are paid in amounts commensurate to the closest equivalent position.
Madam Chair, Senator Eben, Madam Chair took your bill by earlier at the start of the meeting by for the day because there's another bill that they're waiting for to come to the committee.
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry.
Similar.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I'll return to my seat and be patient.
Sorry about that, Senator Eben.
But, okay. Senator Edwards.
Yeah. Madam Chair, Senate Bill 136 is a bill that would double the size of,
Madam Chair, Senator Edwards, that one also was a part of the ones that she took by for the day. Madam Chair took that by, Senator Edwards, Madam Chair took that by at the start of the meeting. We're waiting for a third bill that's similar.
I missed that, okay. The second one has to do with discovery in criminal cases. The law requires the Commonwealth's attorney to make available discovery. And the way it's worded, most of them do that. They'll mail it to you or e-fax it or email it to you. It's very simple. There are a few that simply don't do that. You got to travel 50 miles in at least one case I'm aware of in order to look at it and make your own copies, which is kind of ridiculous. And so this bill was passed, I believe, 10 to 5, 10 to 5 by the Judiciary Committee. Now, it shouldn't have any real fiscal impact or minimal. And so I move that it be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 138 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 15, noes 1.
Ayes 15, noes 1. The bill is reported.
I have one more. It's Senate Bill 425, which it has a subcommittee.
Is that?
Subcommittee. You've done that?
It's in the subcommittee.
Okay, all right, fine.
Okay. Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam
SJ
Chair.
1.
We're carrying over the constitutional
Oh,
amendments.
that was
for-
passed by for the day,
Okay.
sorry.
And so I now have Senate Bill 153. This is the bill that establishes the position of Secretary of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We currently have in the code the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and this simply would transfer those positions or those responsibilities of the Director to the Secretary. And this position would still promote issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion in state government. And that simply is what the position does. And there is, the governor did include, that is Governor Northam, did include in the budget the governor did include in the budget amounts for this transfer.
Okay, and this has gone through another committee, so we won't have testimony. Are there any questions? Is there a motion on the bill?
I move that it be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 153 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, noes 5. The bill's reported. Senator Marsden, you have Senate Bill 551.
I do, Madam Chair, thank you. And this comes to us having already been heard in Agriculture and Natural Resources, and it also incorporates Senator Lewis's 504 and 506. This legislation establishes that the Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR, shall serve as lead administrator of the statewide flood protection plan and the Virginia Coastal Resilience Master Plan. DCR shall also have the responsibility to implement both plans. The legislation provides minimum criteria for development of the flood protection plan and updates to the Virginia Coastal Resilience Master Plan, which was released in December of 2021. The legislation specifies that the Virginia Coastal Resilience Master Plan will be updated no later than December 31st, 2024, and every 5 years thereafter at a minimum. Legislation directs the Chief Resilience Officer to establish the Virginia Coastal Resilience Technical Advisory Committee, specifying the membership and duties. The legislation requires DCR to work jointly with the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to prepare a community outreach and engagement plan to ensure meaningful engagement of and input from affected and vulnerable communities for updates to the master plan. Two more, the legislation requires the Chief Resilience Officer to report to the Governor and General Assembly every 2 years on the status of flood resilience in the Commonwealth. And DCR is authorized to use funding from the Community Flood Preparedness Fund for studies of statewide or regional significance. That's the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you. This bill has not been through a committee, so is there?
Yes, it
Oh,
has.
it has.
It's been to Agriculture.
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry, I missed that. All right. In that case, is there a motion on the bill?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 551 be reported. Please record your vote.
Ayes 14, noes 2.
Ayes 14, noes 2. The bill is reported. Senator Marsden, let me see. 553. Is that what we just?
Madam Chair, I think, is that, okay, I believe that is going to be rolled into.
Oh, that's been rolled in.
Senator Vogel's 651.
Okay. All right. We'll do that when we get to her bill then, which is very soon. Senate Bill 571. And we also took 583.
Is incorporated.
Okay, good, good. This is good. Okay, Senator Vogel, 651.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 651 is something that we've been grinding through with the stakeholders, and there were two other members, Senator Marsden and Senator Deeds, who also introduced legislation on this subject. What my bill does is it makes some technical and some process-related changes and mostly streamlines the collection and remittance of taxes by travel platforms. And this comes on the heels of work we did before last year that affects Expedia, Airbnb, VRBO, and what we're trying to do is, it doesn't undo anything. It's important for the committee to know anything that we did before. The goal is to make some tweaks and definitions and then generally make these platforms the entities that are responsible for the collection and remittance of the tax. So what the bill does is it clarifies in the definition of a room charge, makes certain that it includes all the relevant fees charged by what these people are called as travel intermediaries. It puts these travel intermediaries on the same footing as any other internet-based retailers. And then it provides the locality the ability to request or to actually get the information. And I think before we have any other discussion, we have a substitute that I think I need to move the substitute. That's okay.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute be adopted. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's adopted.
And thank you, Madam Chairman. And I mentioned the substitute because the substitute that you have in front of you does two things that the original bill didn't, and this has been something that we've worked out with the commissioners of the commissioners of the revenue, and that is to make certain that they have all the information that they need. And instead of giving it to them annually, we are now going to give it to them monthly at their request. We are going to give them the gross receipts information that they have asked for, and we're going to give them the information on each location. So as I understand it now, our commissioners of the revenue
Madam Chair,
are okay.
can I ask a question about that?
Yes, Senator Deeds.
My understanding was the commissioners' revenue wanted all these bills to go by for the day, and they weren't all right with it. They weren't convinced that they would get the correct information to the correct offices. Do you have more up-to-date since about 7:30 this morning information?
So, yes, sir, Senator Deeds, I do, and I have a text from them saying if you want, well, maybe you want to hear from them, but I can tell you what they said. They have one request for a change, and I let them know that we were going to take them up this morning. I didn't know we had the option to carry these over for the day. And I said we would work on that after this meeting. But they said that based on the request from our conversations last night, we made these changes, and we also added an enactment clause at the end, hoping to move forward in a way that could provide some consistency across the Commonwealth. And what we said, we'd have tax look at that and work on that in the coming year. So maybe we'll let them say something, Senator Deeds, because I don't want to speak for them, but that was my last, I was texting with them while we've been sitting in finance.
My last information from them was a text at 7:57, and they wanted it carried over for the day.
Okay. Okay, well, they did not let me know that. I apologize.
Madam Chair, if someone's here from the Commissioner's Revenue, I'd like to hear from them.
Is there someone here from the Commissioner of Revenue?
Commissioners. Madam Chair, as I understand it, the issue really for them is that in places like Albemarle and Charlottesville or Augusta and Stanton, it's a matter of where people are in the same zip code. It's a matter of getting the correct information about who owes what to the correct commissioner. Otherwise, you're going to have people in it from Albemarle being taxed or paying to the city of Charlottesville, people from Charlottesville paying to Albemarle County, and in other localities where people in two localities are in the same zip code, you're going to have that problem.
So, Madam Chair?
Yes,
I think that we
Senator Vogel.
resolved that yesterday in the afternoon when we worked through this and we introduced the substitute. I think that providing monthly information with specific information regarding to the address, which provides the zip code information, because that was one of the issues, and we talked about the fact that, in fact, they have to pay interest if they have not provided the right, they haven't paid it to the right locality. And so that was a big issue for our commissioners. So I believe that what we've done since yesterday evening to make those corrections would provide them, Senator Deeds, with both monthly information, the address information with specificity, and the gross receipts.
Well, Madam Chair, the
Senator
substitute, I can't get online yet. I haven't seen it.
Did you have information?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, David Skiles with the Vector Corporation representing Expedia. Thank you to Senator Vogel for introducing this bill, but we have been in conversations all last night and this morning on some language. I must admit it has been a little bit like whack-a-mole trying to figure out who's on first and who's on second, but my understanding was that there was general
at least the first two
comfort with the language that Senator Vogel had. I spoke to one of the commissioners earlier, but we have been going back and forth with them, and I know VML and VACO have also been communicating with them today. So we tried to find a compromise, and as Senator Vogel said, sort of landed on this language. I think most folks are satisfied, some might not be, but that's kind of where we ended up.
Madam Chair, the amendments aren't online yet, and so my concern is that we haven't seen the language, and I'm not comfortable voting on language.
Let's pass this by for the day, without objection.
Madam Chair, I have one of the commissioners who says, he's texting with me now, and he just keeps saying, how do I speak? How do I speak? Okay. Okay.
All right, he can speak to us by email at any
Right,
time.
thank you. I know.
Or text.
He has actually participated, Madam Chair, and been in the back of the room for several of our days here, so I will make certain that you have his information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and let's pass it by for the day. It's going to be a really rough next meeting, but. We also need to take 553 by for the day. Without objection, we'll take that by for the day.
Madam Chair.
Senator Peterson?
Yeah, and I apologize. This is not on today's docket, but I did want to put it on the radar screen of Senate Bill 692, which is taxation of closely held entities. And basically, this, if we could pass this bill with an emergency clause, it would provide an immediate tax benefit for small closely held companies filing their 21 return. So I just want to make sure we have that on our radar screen.
Okay.
And it has no fiscal impact on our state.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I believe we have the Health and Human Resources Subcommittee report. Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll call your attention to Senate Bill 56 first in our report, and I'll ask for adoption of substitutes and amendments and then put them all in a block if there's no objection. Senate Bill 56, Madam Chair, Senator Favola establishes the foster care prevention program to facilitate placements with relatives and ensure relatives have the resources to provide for the child. And those are reduced if they're receiving TANF or other cash assistance payments. There was a substitute, and I moved, which was technical in nature. I moved that we adopt the substitute.
It's been moved and seconded the substitute to Senate Bill 56 be adopted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's adopted.
Okay, there is general fund cost, which was included in the introduced budget, which we'll have to deal with in the budget to see what level of support we will give the program. Senate Bill 231, Senator Suderline, individual with developmental disabilities, DMAS men waivers. This.
I think we need to vote on it.
Got to do them individually?
we have to do
Oh,
them
okay,
individually,
okay.
okay.
Madam Chair, I would move then that we report Senate Bill 56, amendment in nature of a substitute.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 56, amendment in the nature of a substitute, be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
I 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 231, Senator Suderline, there is programs where there are three
Madam
cap
Chair.
programs for various services.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt,
Senator
Madam Chair,
Cruz.
Senator Hinger. Senator Suline requested that we pass that bill by for the day.
Does he have objection to the one amendment we
No,
made?
they're working on some other amendments, I think,
Okay,
about
all
reporting.
right.
I think they're
All right.
probably more technical, but we could just take up next week.
Okay. Madam Chair, I would then move that we pass that bill by for the
It's
day.
been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 231 be passed by for the day. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed by.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 425, Senator Edwards' bill, deals with barrier crimes, and it sets up a process where these barrier crimes can be evaluated through a waiver process. There was no amendment to that bill, minimal fiscal impact, and I would move that Senate Bill 425 be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 425 be reported. Please record your vote.
I 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. The bill's reported.
Senate Bill 426, Senator Donovan's bill, deals with remote patient monitoring, and it adds a number of services to that particular program for remote patient monitoring. There is some fiscal impact, but we're not able in these cases to quantify the actual savings. It's anticipated that doing this remote program with these services will actually save money. The subcommittee recommended reporting on a vote of 6-0, and I move that Senate Bill 426 be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 426 be reported. Please record your vote.
I 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 469, Senator McClellan, deals with the Virginia Health Benefit Exchange, which we stood up a couple of years ago, which puts in place an annual marketing plan and a budget for that. There is cost associated with that. We recommended reporting and then deal with whatever appropriation we want to fund into this in the budget. So I would move that Senate Bill 469 be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 469 be reported. Please record your vote.
I 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. The bill is reported. Thank you, Senator Hanger.
Thank you.
Does, Senator Donovan's, say the number again?
430.
432, the request is that it go by for the day. Without objections, Senate Bill 432 will go by for the day. Does that complete our docket? Yes, with 3 minutes to spare. Thank you all, committee. The committee will rise.